Hi there. Oh, my oven is just warmed. So hi there, my name is Sylvia Peterson and I'm here with Sacha. And we're super excited to share with you some gingerbread preparation. We're going to talk about ingredients and tools and patterns with you today to get you ready for our gingerbread adventure, where you'll be able to bake a gingerbread from scratch. We'll talk about decorating another time, but let's just dig in to everything you're going to need to bake your own gingerbread house from scratch. And I'll just start by saying I've been making gingerbread houses since 1992. My mother-in-law taught me, and she's been doing them for over 50 years. And so let's just get started. All right, so let's talk about ingredients first. So for dry ingredients, and this is one of the things that we'll do, is this is all of the spices. So in here, we'll start with the white ones. We have salt and baking soda. And then we have the classic gingerbread spices of ginger, cinnamon, nutmeg, and cloves. And my husband's going to be serving himself breakfast while we're doing this, and that's just how we roll around here. So those are the spices, and then you'll take this spice mix, I just portioned the things out, and then you'll put them in a certain amount of flour, and we'll mix those ingredients up. It's nice to get all those dry ingredients mixed. And then the wet ingredients are Crisco, which we will melt down first. This is actually the first task we'll do, but there's Crisco. We have eggs, unsulfured molasses, and I forgot to mention sugar. Sugar is another ingredient, but it goes in with the wet ingredients. And then so those are the ingredients. See, did I forget anything? Spices? No, those are the ingredients. And there's lots of recipes out there. They're all kind of the same. Slightly tweaks here and there, but they're all kind of the same. So let's see. Did I get it all right? I have my recipe. So we had flour, baking soda, salt, ginger, cinnamon, nutmeg, and cloves. And then we have Crisco, sugar, unsulfured molasses, and eggs. So those are the ingredients. And of course, you have to have one of these big mixers. You can see I already have some dough was mixed earlier today. And so I use this KitchenAid mixer I bought in 1992. I use this paddle. And so that's the first really important tool. Obviously, you're going to need measuring cups. I use a big old measuring cup for my flour. You'll need at least a 2-cup measuring for your molasses, and obviously those two measuring cups cannot be the same. And then you'll need a cup for sugar. So you'll need some measuring cups, which I'm sure all of you have. And then the next really important ingredient is a baking sheet pan. And so the industry calls this a half-size pan, because if you're in the restaurant industry, there's a full-size pan. So this one is about 13 by 18 inches. Ideally, you would have 2 of those, because we're going to be baking more than one gingerbread house. And then parchment paper, which you can get pretty easily. Rolling pin, very important. Obviously, oven mitts. I'm going to put this. So this is what a house looks like that I've rolled and cut out. So I've already got like 44 of these done this year. So obviously I use custom made cookie cutters that were made for me based on a pattern, but you don't need those. But I'm going to put these in here because I am in the middle of a baking cycle. So it bakes for 9 minutes at 375. So after we've mixed the dough, we will put it in the fridge for 30 minutes so that it's really easy to handle. It makes beautiful dough. And then we'll start rolling it out, just like my husband is the professional roller outer. Lots of flour. This is a messy process. So if you're a clean freak, you'll have to get over it. You can clean after, no worries. All right, so let's talk about templates. So we've talked about tools. Wax paper is the other tool you'll need. So parchment paper to bake, and this wax paper is what you'll use to roll out your dough, and it doesn't stick because you'll be rolling it, dusting it with flour. So, we'll be doing a lot of this kind of stuff. You dust with flour, you flip, and then you start with your templates. And I'm just gonna use mine right now to finish this. Well, let's not do that. Let's see. So I have 3 templates for you. One, and like I said, I've been doing this since 1992, so I come across things, and I have a gingerbread file, both electronic and physical. And so this is a super cute little house from marthastewart.com. And this is what I would call a small house. So she cleverly has a 1-pager that you will print 3 times to get these 3 pieces. And every house, and I would suggest we start with a simple house this year if this is your first time. Do not try to recreate your house or the Vanderbilt mansions in Asheville. You don't have to go to that. We're gonna start simple. And so this is a tiny house, and all houses have the same components. There is, for those of you in architecture, there's a gable end. There's typically a side end, and you can see how these are typically the same dimension. And then you can see how this works, right? If I do this together, and then there's the roof, right? That's kind of the pieces of your house. So you will cut 2 of these, 2 of these, and 2 of these. And we can have some fun with chimneys and some other things that we can do. And the other thing we'll have to decide is where you want your door to your house. Some people like it on the gable end, but then that looks more like a church. Your choice. Some people like it more like a house, on the short end. So this will be one template that we'll be able to play with. And this cookie dough makes about 5 medium-sized houses, so 1 batch. So you'll be able to make more than 1 house. So there's one option for you. And then I found this in my files. This is The Joy of Cooking. I have no idea which edition. In this edition, it was page 843. And so what I've done is I've taken this model and scaled it, because this is not to scale. So I used my engineering paper, which I love to use. And I still have engineering paper because I'm an engineer. And so this one is a bigger house. So you can see this is the roof. This is the gable. These are the sides, and this one does have chimneys. So that will be another option for you. And then that's kind of the biggest house we have. And then this is kind of a medium house. This is from wineandglue.com. I have no idea why wineandglue.com has this gingerbread house, or if they still do, but they did at one point. And so this one even gives you the floor layout. So you can see kind of the size of the house. But just to, again, this one is the roof. Here's the gable, and here's the side. So you get the feeling and the sense that those are the components of a gingerbread house. Similarly, in my templates, I have a gable, I have a side. Maybe I can show you what this looks like. I have a gable, I have a side, and I have a roof. So you can sort of see how that comes together. Also for Gee Whiz, and this is something we'll put a link in, and you can order this from Amazon. Also a fun little thing that we can do together is the teeny weeny house. So this house will sit on the side of your mug. And again, you're getting the sense of this. There's a gable end, there's a roof end, and there's a side end. And all gingerbread houses go together the same way. So regardless of your pattern, it's not going to matter what your pattern is. I'll be able to build it with you and show you how to build it when the time comes. But that's kind of it for baking. Sacha, do you have any questions? I know this is like the first time I've gone through this with you. Do you have any questions?
I do. I wanted to know, when you roll out the dough, how thick do you get it? Is it like a quarter of an inch, or is it more like an inch?
That is a good question. And I like to, I'll show you some baked pieces I already have. So it's pretty thin. So it bakes up a little. So it's probably like 1/8 of an inch. You don't want to be too thin. Yeah.
Does it basically not rise or go down? Does it condense, or
it rises just
neither?
Little bit. It rises just a little bit. So you can tell, you can see this dough right here is probably 1/8 of an inch. You can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want it to be too thin, and you don't want it to be too thick. So I would say just 1/8 of an inch or a little bit thicker. 1/4 of an inch would be way too thick.
I have another question, which is the custom templates that you use. What house were those molded after?
My mother-in-law designed them. Actually, my father-in-law, who's passed away, designed them for him. My mother-in-law's story about gingerbread is she signed up for a Sears course over 50 years ago, and the batch of gingerbread dough that we made one house. So it was like this ginormous house. And so over the years, she created this template that I'm sure my father-in-law helped her, because he was an engineer. And then he used to, when she first started, she would have paper templates. And the thing with paper templates, excuse me, the oven calls. The thing with paper templates are it's fine if you're just making one gingerbread house. But when you make 212 or 125, those are numbers my mother-in-law has made of our houses. I've made somewhere between 40 and 97. Then cookie cutters help you with volume. But, and so she had paper templates, and then she did what I did. I found a stainless steel fabrication house, and I sent them my pattern, and they made these cookie cutters for me. Again, it's sort of a volume thing. And I put mine,
Cool.
and you'll think about this too. As you size your house, you're going to want to think about where you're going to put it from a decoration perspective. So I use 12-inch rounds. We'll talk about decoration another time, but as you're thinking about your template, if you want to find your own, or if you're going to use one of these, you want to think about how big the house is going to be and make sure that you're going to have a good place to put it. Some people make their houses on beautiful cake plates, which if you're just making one or two, I think that's a lovely idea. And so you want to make sure your cake plate is at least 12 inches. And so you just need to think about those pieces as well.
And fun to move around, rotate around it.
The only problem with the cake plate is you're not going to be able to wrap it. And once you decorate it, if you want it to be preserved for a little while, you can always take a 12-inch round, wrap it up, and later put the 12-inch round on your cake plate if you want to use it as a centerpiece. But wrapping it is pretty important because there's a lot of temptation to pick at it if it's exposed. So if you want it to last a little bit longer than the minute you finish it, you may want to think about wrapping it.
Yeah. Seems like a good idea. I think that's all I have for now.
All right. I think that's all. Lots of details that we'll share with you, but we wanted to give you a sense. For some of you, you're planners and you want to know, how do I get ready? All of these ingredients you should be able to find in your local grocery store. And we'll do this again next week to talk about decoration.
Excellent.
All right. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure.